You know, those are the looks I've seen on more than one deer hunter's face when he's after that great big buck and things aren't going right. Let's find out why that maybe things aren't going right for you when you switched up and went after Mr. Big. There are certain ways to win this game. Hi everybody, I'm Ed Hunt with Hunt Outdoors. And let me give you a few words of advice that's always seemed to work well for me and my boys. And usually the guys that hunt with me. You know, throughout the summer, a lot of guys will say, I don't have any bucks. I don't see any bucks. There's no bucks on my trail cam pictures. I've got tons of does, or I've got a doe and a fawn, or this and that. Here's the thing. Bucks and does don't really live together in the same areas or associate much in the summer. That's the big mystery. That's the big problem. A lot of hunters don't realize that. They go set up on the most obvious spot with the best food or whatever it is, the best cover in the summer and spring, and expect to pick up a bunch of good buck pictures. It doesn't always work like that. And especially in farm country where it's very diverse and there's lots of woods and lots of fields. You see, here's the thing. Does are very aggressive. Doe families are very territorial and aggressive to any bucks that are in their area. They tend to take the very best locations, which is where, as hunters, especially hunters that really don't understand it, tend to put their cameras and do all their scouting. Bucks, on the other hand, get together in small groups and they go to the least desirable places that you would think that they would be. Or the less desirable, not necessarily least. It's usually got good cover and water, but the food sources and stuff aren't just perfect. And here's why. They've been run out. They're going to come back. And they're going to come back in force. And as a matter of fact, they still check in from time to time. That's why you get those oddball summertime pictures of one decent buck or big buck. He's coming in to check, to make sure everybody's still there. But he's going right back home. So come October or November, you better start thinking ahead. Now you say, well, what are you going to do? Go to those places and hunt the buck? Absolutely not. Because come October, late October, right prior to the rut in November, that buck's going to move into an adjacent location where those does have been all summer long. You're getting the right pictures of the right deer that should be there then. Start planning ahead now. You're saying, what do you mean plan ahead? If you can get in and out, around or on or through that particular food plot bedding area, you're going to have huge success on especially mature bucks later in the rut. And here's why I'm saying this. You need to get in there now and get your stuff set up. Things aren't going to change that much. It's just not. Things are actually going to get a little bit worse before they get better. Because see, some food types are going to start changing here, and they're called one and done, like acorns and stuff. You know, the deer, we're going to get right on that stuff, and you may lose your doe herd for a little bit. They may go over here to an alfalfa field or hay field. They may go over here to a corn field that's, for whatever reason, super sweet this year. So do your banging and clanging now. What do you mean banging and clanging? Well, let's look at this. Metal. All it takes is one bang. You say, I'll set up right prior to season. Go ahead. Everything in the area just heard that. We all make mistakes. We all make noise. You're not as quiet as you think you are. Even when you don't think you make noise, you can be heard. And I got proof on video that people think they're being quiet, but they're really not. Their ears have tuned it out. So, you know, you got sticks and lock-on stands, and then of course, you know, the desired ladder stands, and then you got blinds and you got backpackable climbers. Well, there tends to be a problem with climbers. I'm not saying you won't kill a big buck. I know guys who have. They're very low odds if you're toting them in and out with you. And let me tell you why. If you're toting in a climbing stand, you're making way more noise than you know, way more disturbance. Just the sound of going up and down the tree. Big bucks know how to pick that stuff out. It's not natural. It's not normal. So, well, there's a farmer out there and he bangs around. You're right. He bangs around out in the fields or on the fence lines. He doesn't go in there where you're hunting and slide in and sneak in and make noises that are foreign to those deer, especially big bucks in the rut. Does are what you're hunting. You're hunting those big mature does, but you're not hunting them to kill them. There's the mistake guys make. They go out in October and kill this big mature does they've been watching because they're an easy mark. You need to be leaving them alone. You need to stay out of that field, and you need to back off. And you need to go in there right around Halloween time and start hunting with the wind, watch your approaches in and out, and get ready. Because that's the first doe that Mr. Wonderful is looking for. That great big beefy doe that's got a pair of fawns on her. Because she's a known producer. She's a known animal in that area. And that buck, that big buck, that one that you got a picture of, will be seeking her out later. The worst mistake you can make is to take her out of your herd before he shows up. That's my advice. Take it or leave it. Now, the experts say don't shoot it. Don't shoot them after the rut. It doesn't do any good. Shoot all these does early in the season. That might work somewhere where they've got 100 deer per square mile or 50 deer per square mile because there's so many big bucks and so many does. But in normal deer turf throughout the Midwest, where there's quite a bit of pressure around, you're much better off staying out of that woods in October, leaving those does alone, and let them become comfortable with you and your presence, because they get used to that. And they'll come on through, and Mr. Wonderful isn't far behind. A lot of guys don't believe that. My walls, and my son's walls, and my partner's walls say otherwise. I like to hunt. I'm not telling you not to. You may not be a big hunter, big buck hunter as it were. You just like to hunt, knock yourself out. But don't complain you never see or kill big bucks or the neighbors are killing them when you're the problem. Your tactics really are the problem, not your desire or your drive. It's really your tactics. It's when you do what you do and how you do it. A lot of hunters just take the easy way in. That's probably the worst way in most of the time. And if it's not, you've got a perfect setup for a late October, 1st of November rendezvous with a big buck in a known doe area that you have never seen before or only seen once, because he didn't live there in the summer. What do? I put stands and blinds out. My stuff's all out right now. Been out. I'm ready to go. And if something changes, I've got some in reserve I can put out. And I'll even pull a first week, 5-day hunt down there from a distance just to look. Just to make sure that everything's good, that nothing's out of the ordinary. You don't want any surprises. You don't want to walk down there and have a tree down or have branches down or something happen to your stand, or worse, the deer relocate and decide to bed or move somewhere else, and you either mess it up or they're just not there. My tip is stop making all that noise in season, because it's going to change things for the rest of the season. Because it's unnatural. They'll just move. I'm Ed Hunt from Hunt Outdoors. That's my tip to you guys that like to hunt mature bucks but just haven't quite ironed it all out yet. Skip the does, They'll be there later. Don't hunt until the right time, and hunt where the does are, not where the bucks are. Talk to you later. Have a great week. Bye, everybody.